Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we're back talking about the league's newest teams, the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire, digging into that, also touching on our highlights of the week. Before we get into all of it, Kristen, how are you?
I'm all right.
Just all right?
Yeah, well, good.
Nice.
We just had a very rainy Memorial Day weekend over here on the East Coast, but it was lovely seeing our friends, relaxing this weekend, catching up on W games, on Summer House. Lots of things to be paying attention to right now. So yeah, I'm good.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice little barbecue weekend. Had some burgers, had some dogs, some mac and cheese, little pasta salad stuff. Wonderful time, despite the cold, rainy weather, to just take a break and recharge a little bit before, we see what the rest of May and June has in store for us. If you're new here, welcome to the show. If you'd like to send us an email, you can do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you'd be so kind on whatever platform it is that you listen to the show. Subscribe to the YouTube, and of course, do your part and tell your friends and family about the show so we can continue to get the name out about Attack the Baseline. Alrighty, let's start digging in. Quick news roundup. The main news item that hit our timeline this week is that the long form CBA has been officially signed. I still have yet to find it online where I can read it. Every time I look it up, it's just the old CBA. So really, if you're listening to this and you've seen the newest 2026 long form WNBA CBA, if you'd be so kind as to send us a link, that would be excellent, because I really do want to read it. I'm prepared to read it word for word so that I can know all the ins and outs about if there's any new trade things or if there's new draft things. I still want to confirm that the draft lottery is expanding to 7 teams. I keep hearing that, but I need confirmation from the CBA. I can't trust the Wikipedia page to be true 100% because there's no source. And I know the CBA will tell me.
Yeah, John's dying to read the entire CBA.
Yes. So I really want to get into that. If you've seen it, I'm glad to hear the news after the ratification in March that we finally have an inked, agreed upon WNBA and Players Association CBA after all that work that went on just over a month ago. And now we're in the thick of the season, and it's like you completely forgot some of the stress that we were all feeling. Because the players are playing hard and they're playing well and they're getting paid, which is awesome.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of other news going on this week. Some players are back from injury. Sabrina Ionescu, Satu Sabali. Some players are back from overseas. Awa Pham. But nothing really else crazy.
No.
We had our first triple-double of the season.
True.
By Jessica Shepard.
Yes. Bit of a surprise figure there.
Yeah. That was on Wednesday this week when the Wings beat the Sky by 10.
Yeah, good week by the Wings. I know we weren't watching them as closely as we did last week, but they had some quality wins and some good showings by some, a depth of players on their team. AZ Fudd, give her a little pat on the back. She came out and, was super hot in the third quarter of their last game that they played against New York, where she scored 17 in that third frame, which was more than she had scored each of her first 5 games. So anybody that wrote off AZ Fudd, which I know is mostly a joke for people that actually are saying they're writing her off, she's, proving how she's going to be incredibly useful to this Dallas team and why she will be worth the number 1 overall pick to them when she can have moments like this.
Yeah. And I don't think people are writing off AZ, but I do, I guess, partly understand the sentiment that the number 1 overall pick is not starting, hasn't been entirely effective yet. They've played like 5 games.
Yeah.
But she did have a very good second half in this game against New York, which great showing. She had a very funny block on Stewie, which is just like, you don't see that every day. So that was good. Paige and AZ both had 24 points in that game. So
Yes. Love to see it. Love to see it. Happy for Dallas. Happy for Dallas as they continue to figure things out in the early goings of the season.
And I will say, obviously, we followed the Fire and Tempo this week, but one of the announcers said that the City Edition jerseys for the Fire, which are beautiful, are like the most highly rated new jerseys of the season. It's like black with but they have like gray roses. They are pretty.
I want to say that you were not too keen on that when they dropped it, when they dropped that Rebel edition.
Yeah, I like them. They're fine. But I think I love the Dallas jerseys the most. It's such a pop of color. I'm obsessed with the font.
Yes. The Mavericks have done this, but yes.
Well, I don't know what the Mavericks do. This I love.
Yeah. No,
Like,
it's clean. It's clean.
I said this in our group chat. It's like you can't really just wear Dallas stuff around the city of Philadelphia.
No, you cannot.
That's frowned upon. But I feel like I could get away with a women's basketball jersey.
I think you could. I'm pretty confident you could.
Yeah. So I would, out of all of the new jerseys this year, this Dallas one, this bright blue Dallas one is my favorite.
Then let's take a look. Let's do a little diving, find you a jersey that you like.
I don't know if they're on sale.
I don't know. I honestly have yet to look. But in a couple weeks, I'm sure she'll have one.
Well, we can go on to our highlights of the week, our favorite games of the week. My favorite game this week was watching the Los Angeles Sparks beat the Las Vegas Aces.
Big win for the Sparks.
In Las Vegas.
Yes.
That was this past Saturday. The Sparks won 101-95. That was just a huge revenge game for the Sparks. After the Aces had beat them in Los Angeles, the Sparks needed, I would say, to win this game. They needed to start showing themselves in some capacity because they've been really struggling to start this year. So this win over Las Vegas to me is like a huge green flag. Hopefully now they can use this as momentum and stop messing around, get on a good winning streak.
Yeah, and a spot start for Cam Brink because Neko was out.
Yes.
Cam looked pretty good.
Yeah, Cam definitely filled in Neka's spot well. She's used to being in the starting lineup. So, I mean, if you ask me, she seems confident and she seems ready to be in a starting spot. We can see what the coach does in the coming games when Neka comes back. She played 24 minutes. She had 16 points. 8 rebounds. She played very well, very confidently. She shot 2 threes, which I love to see.
Stealing a block. 7 of 11 shooting. I mean, quality game. Quality game.
For sure. But I would say the standout player of this game was Kelsey Plum. She had 38 points. She was 4 for 4 from 3 in the first quarter. Just absolutely blazing hot.
6 of 7 on the game.
Yeah. Just an incredible game by Kelsey Plum. I do think sometimes she does too much ISO. She tends to do things by herself a lot of the time.
Only because she can.
Because she can,
get away with
and
it.
sometimes they need her to. But in this game, it paid off. They won.
I mean, the announcer were literally saying, how did she split 3 defenders and score at the rim? I don't know either, but she's capable of doing that. So you kind of just got to let her do it. If she wants to ISO and she wants to take it, you got to let her take it because she's, mainly contributing to you winning these games.
Yeah.
And these huge games against teams that are arguably better than you. that if you can prove that you're capable of beating them, then the outlook on the entire season is going to be a lot more positive, that you can contend come postseason time. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, it's kind of a twofer. Atlanta Dream, who sit at the top of the table 4-1, had a big win over Dallas, where they went on a 23-5 run to basically blow past them and end up winning the game by double digits. And then the Atlanta Dream coming back against the Phoenix Mercury again just yesterday, after they had a massive 16-3 run in the late stages of the game to be able to take that one away from Phoenix. I think, as the announcers were saying, you can't count out Atlanta. We also saw last week that they came all the way back against Vegas after being down significant, and then having it be a game within the last 6 seconds of the ball game is proof enough that even when Ryan Howard can't buy a shot, when Leash is looking a little sluggish, when your rotations aren't just giving you positive momentum or pushing you in the right direction, they'll still find a way to remain in a game. And it's only a matter of time before those players who we know are lethal shooters get hot and win you a game. Ryan Howard was outright bad for the majority of this game, coming off the concussion, I will say. But by the end of the game, you wouldn't know, because she hit some ballsy shots and was chirping because she knew that she put her team in a position to win that game. And that's the Ryan Howard that I love to see, and why this was such a highlight for me. I really want to see this team succeed this year because I believe in everything that they put together, front to back with this lineup. And I believe in the coaching. I believe in the players. So to see them come back against these, quality opponents is excellent. And I will say that, if I were the Phoenix Mercury losing this game to go to 2-5, I would be a little not feeling great about how things are standing for them at the moment. I think they're too good to be this bad at the start of the season. So yes, it's a tough loss for them, but again, a major win for Atlanta, and what was so exciting for me.
Yeah, no, I think I was being very hard on Ryan during this game, just because when they're behind and she's missing shots, I just get frustrated.
Yeah.
But she shot very well. She shot 50% from 3, 46% from the field. She did not shoot bad. So not fair of me to be hard on Ryan.
Yeah. No, yeah. She shot so well at the end of the game that it completely literally makes you forget about how rough the first half was.
Right. And I think the whole comeback was just sparked by the intensity of Jordan Canada. And I continue to be awed by that.
No, she's been excellent.
She's been amazing this season so far. So huge applause for that.
All right. Well, why don't we get into today's main topic, the Portland Fire, the Toronto Tempo. We'll start with the Fire as they return to the WNBA for the first time since 2002. After the expansion draft, I feel like I was quite positive on the job that this organization did in selecting talent, given some question marks about some of the choices that were made. But I gotta say, through 2 weeks of basketball, I like what I'm seeing out of Portland. Kristen, how do you feel? You feel okay about the Portland Fire with things going forward?
Yeah, I honestly really do. They find ways to win interesting games. This week was not the most interesting for them. They won against Connecticut, which most teams are doing. They lost against Indiana, which is not surprising.
Right.
But then they beat Toronto, which was the game that we really were paying attention to, leading up to the majority of the week. That was the game we were anticipating. I think they just have more of an identity to me. If I'm comparing them to the other team you're talking about, the Toronto Tempo, the Fire seem more cohesive. They seem like they have more of a plan. They seem more gelled and more connected to each other than the Tempo do right now.
Yes.
And I think that the Tempo could be a better team and probably should be a better team. If you just look at their salaries, perhaps the Tempo should be better. But they are just like, they're struggling with injury right now. I think they're just struggling in general to like figure out what they do best and like what they're going to do in certain scenarios, like when they're losing or when their highest scoring players are not scoring. So I very much appreciated following Portland and seeing a lot of these women who had smaller roles on their teams in previous seasons come up this year and thrive. It's very exciting to watch.
Yeah, I will say I completely agree with that. And you know, my take on Portland is I think that they of the two are closer to simulating what the Valkyries did last year, where the Valkyries took the league by surprise. You know, they win 23 games out of 44 and they find all these diamonds in the rough and they play this cohesive brand of basketball where they're 3-D. Portland's identity is very much 3-D mindset. Alex Sarama, their brand new head coach, the youngest in the league, is he's put forth a play style where you're only shooting jumpers inside the paint or outside the arc. Nothing in that area around the paint. And every time, which was very few, I will say, every time we saw a player take one of those jumpers, we were like, coach is not happy. He's not going to be happy. But they would still go in because they still have quality players. But it is very much an egalitarian style of offense, really decent ball movement. I like that this roster has like a good amount of plus passers to me, like players that can make that extra pass to the open player that's making the cut and finish the shot. I just was really impressed at what I've seen so far, at the way that they handled themselves in some of these games. Now, top end talent remains a bit to be seen, but I want to start with Bridget Carleton if we're going to talk about the team, because they shocked the world when they used their first pick in the expansion draft on Bridget Carleton. They gave her a max contract. She had never averaged more than 10 points in a season before that, in her 8th year in the W. And she is, sure as heck, doing everything that we've expected of Bridget Carleton and more. I think she's been holding herself like the number one option, should be. Very excited to play there. And the crowd loves her.
Yeah, no, Bridget has been incredible, honestly. She's averaging 17 points a game when, she's never averaged more than 9.5. So she is really like living up to the expectation of her. She has been super hot from 3. She has, in moments, had like incredible defense, especially in transition. Like just thinking about the game against Indiana, like Bridget was very good at guarding Aaliyah Boston in transition, which is like not something you would think, who she'd be guarding traditionally. Just like a mismatch in size, but she was great in guarding her. So I am very proud of Bridget to see. I think it totally made sense that she was the first pick. If she's left available by Minnesota, she's going to be picked,
I suppose.
I don't know if we thought, well, we didn't think that she should have gotten this max contract. But I think she's totally living up to it right now.
Yeah.
So I am not mad about it at all. I think she's playing great.
Yeah. I mean, like, somebody was going to have to be that first max contract player for this franchise returning to the W, and she's handling it incredibly well. And, she's been nails from deep so far to start, especially this week. I feel like we saw a lot of really quality 3-point makes by Bridget, which that is her game. She's a 3-and-D prototype player. And that is the, what this team is setting out to do.
She is attempting over 2 more threes than she's ever attempted before.
Sounds about right.
She's attempting 7.5.
I think they should push that closer to 9. Like let her keep shooting. Let her keep shooting. She's on a hot streak right now. I think you deserve to let her continue to do that. And it's what the team wants to do. They want to pass the ball. They want to get the open look and they want to take the shot.
Well, I will say, like, while they could have Bridget attempt more threes a game, there are other players on the team who are shooting the 3 well right now. I will say,
I know one.
I will say, yeah, Emily Engstler.
That's right.
Has been incredible.
She's
so
been
far this year.
So good. Like it makes me emotional that she's this good.
I know. Like it fills me with joy.
It just utter joy. Joy.
Right. Like if you didn't listen to our pod in the off season, we went and visited Unrivaled this past off season in January, and Emily Engstler was down there. She was on the development squad. So she did not play ever for a team in Unrivaled.
No.
Well, that really was because she broke her orbital bone
in a practice.
Yep. So when we saw her one day at the pool, and she came over and we were talking to her for 10 minutes. We were just chatting it up with Emily Engstler when she had this honestly disgusting black eye.
Not her fault. Not her fault.
No, but it was really a nasty injury to me. It looked awful. But here she is, completely rebounded from that whole situation. And she was saying, she was really upset. She never got to play in Unrivaled. She was going to be out. She really wanted to play, but this whole injury, stopped her. So I am just, so happy that this is working out.
Yes. I hugely, hugely happy for Em. Yes, this is exactly the player we saw flashes of in Washington, that we just haven't seen her get this type of rope. But she is already setting herself up as one of the coach's favorite players and one of these true dirty work players. She's not afraid to get to box out, get the rebound, to trap in transition, to knock down these shots, which I didn't realize she was honestly this much of a lethal 3-point shooter, but she really is carrying herself very well. Real quick, I just double checked. Portland's right now top 5 in 3 points attempted and top 5 in 3-point percentage. So it really is translating through the screen. They're also top 3 in steals, which feels right as well with the way that they play that sort of, we're going to hard W as you transition, or if you're a weak dribbler, we're going to be on you like flies and swatting at the ball so that we can create a transition opportunity of our own, which ends up in some really, interesting transition scenarios for this team.
Yeah. Bridget is averaging 2.3 steals a game.
That's an exciting stat for her as well.
Yes.
Okay. Where else do you want to go on this roster?
Well, I just wanted to also say about Emily, I feel like Emily has been so good in the games that we've watched at guarding the paint. She is primarily defending in the paint, and she's doing very well. But I think that that's because they don't really have such a good center.
No,
so
that's one of their weaker parts of this roster.
Right. So she's only 6'1", but she is having to guard at the rim. So that is, a place of potential opportunity.
Yeah, you could say.
For them to figure out a better center situation.
Well, let's talk about Louisa and Megan then, because Louisa's been starting at the center for this team. She's been very much hot and cold. I would say mostly cold in the week that we watched her. I've been a fan of, Louisa, and I think that at times it's just an opportunity situation with her. She's a quality corner 3-point shooter. Can't say I saw too many opportunities of that for her this week. I do believe at least she was at some point this week leading the team in rebounds. So, and that's out of the nature of being the starting center. You're probably going to lead the team in rebounds. But if I were this team, I would consider giving Megan the look at starting center. I know that I've heard arguments about how Luisa's style is a little easier to have in a starting lineup because she doesn't demand the ball in maybe the same way that a Megan would. But I do think Megan's ceiling as a player is a bit higher than Luisa's. And I mean, we've seen flashes of the great Meg Gustafson, whether it's in the W or in international play. And I think that this team, and part of their philosophy is going to be going through a lot of players. I think they should give Megan a little bit of an extra look as the starting center and give Louisa an opportunity to come off the bench and see if that ends up working a little bit better in the way that the games are run.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like Louisa is too slow a lot of the time. And she's not the best at setting screens. She fouled out in the game against Indiana with 7.5 minutes left to play.
Yeah, it was tough.
Which was really rough. So, yeah, I would love to see them switch it up a little bit. I can appreciate Louisa, being more defensive minded and more, not having to score. Like Megan scores more than her, but comes off the bench. So I get that, wanting a big to score in a secondary rotation. So that's a little tough.
Yeah.
But you talked about how they're kind of rotating through players.
Yes. A significant roster turn just this week.
Yes.
We saw 3 players waived.
Yeah, this was a big news.
Yes. Big move.
But we left it until now.
Yes. So we saw Shug Sutton. We saw Kamia Smalls. And we saw Haley Jones all get waived in the same move by Portland, and then saw promotion of both of their development pool players at the time, Holly Winterburn and Frida Booner, and then an activation of a player that was with them in camp, Taya Oblak, who is a 35-year-old point guard who is now a new rookie in the league. And what we saw from her, well, we'll talk about her in a little more detail, but I guess I should start with the cuts. Shug Sutton was filling in for Carla Late as Carla Late was injured, and then she was playing backup point guard off the bench. The decision to cut her was pretty surprising to me. I guess they liked what they saw in Holly a little bit better than what they saw in Shug, so they're going to let Holly operate in that role. Haley Jones was an interesting example of a player that was on a guaranteed contract getting cut. So she's going to make her full $300,000 salary after being cut by Portland. So that's interesting for Haley. I said times in the past that I'm a Haley Jones fan. So I would hope that both her and Shug have an opportunity on another team. They've yet to sign anywhere else, but this was only a couple days ago. But then the decision to move their development pool players up and then to add Jordan Harrison back to their development pool was an interesting display of roster churn that I don't think we've seen too frequently. You see it from time to time with hardship contracts. This is different because now you have these extra spots. You can promote these players and get them into your full-time lineup and then use your spots again on other players and give them rope. So I kind of like what I'm seeing. If I'm Portland, this is what you should be doing. You should be going through players to try to figure out who is going to be your longer-term core and who, matches up with the identity of the game that you're trying to play.
Yeah, I love how they're using these new spots to work through players. I think that's very interesting and smart. I am still surprised that they waived Shug. She played 3 games and started 2 of them, averaged over 11 points in those 3 games, had 5.7 assists. Like, she was playing fairly well.
Yeah, decent ball.
And maybe it was just, right, it's Carla, and it's the addition of Taya Oblak, who they must have just like had their eyes on from the beginning. And with those 2 coming back, like, I think unfortunately there just wasn't a spot for Shug.
Yeah.
Which is honestly very upsetting to me.
Yeah.
But Taya
let's talk about it. Taya Oblak, because
she was good.
Her debut was pretty impressive, I'll say, all things considered, for a 5'8", 35-year-old point guard.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't have like anything crazy flashy in terms of stats. She scored 3 points, had 1 rebound. She had 9 assists.
9 assists.
I guess that's your flashy assist.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what they are looking for in a point guard.
Pass first point guard. She says, my job is to get the ball where it needs to go.
Right.
She clearly doesn't desire to score the ball.
Sure.
So.
And I mean, like we just said, they have multiple players who are very good right now at scoring threes. So if you just have a point guard who is willing to pass to them, then that's going to work out ideally.
I again, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. I don't think Portland will surely be the worst team like I had them projected. I think they're going to win too many games by playing good, sharing the basketball. They got a good idea of how to win games because you just figure out where the hot hand is and you play it.
Yeah.
And you feed the system as a whole instead of going through any one particular player.
Right.
So impressed with our Portland Firewatch.
No, they definitely have players that can step up when like someone needs to step up. I will say I loved watching Holly Winterburn. I didn't know she was on a development contract. The first game that I saw her play this week, I thought she was great. And then they pulled her up from development. I was like, oh, well, good. Like, I think they should have. And then she didn't really play as much as she did in that one game. Because I guess players were hurt, so she had to step in and play. But I think they should keep using her because she was very good. I think the last player that we can talk about is Sarah Ashley Barker.
Yes. Who
has incredible flashes of greatness.
Yeah, arguably the clutchest player on the team. One of the clutchest players in the league so far. We didn't see the game this week where she hit the game winner to give Portland their first win, but that was a major moment that we've already talked about on the pod last week. And Sarah Ashley Barker, when it's the fourth quarter, you're going to see her get a lot of touches for Portland because something about the end of these games brings out the best in her game. We talked complimentary about her briefly last week, but I think that in this larger opportunity than she had in LA last year, we've seen her play make. We've seen her score. We've seen her shoot the ball pretty well. I think this is, like I was saying before, one of these diamonds that they found going forward. I think they would look at Sarah already as a almost cornerstone-like player to move forward with in the years to come for Portland.
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like she is very smart. I think she's great at seeing where people are, finding the openings. Yeah, she has great vision. She can be very aggressive with the ball, and it really pays off. Like, she's not making silly mistakes when she's running around, finding her path. Yeah. Like, she's very smart.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to be a double-digit player for this team going forward for the foreseeable future. And they hit on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we switch to the tempo?
Yeah, why not?
So, the tempo this week, they beat the Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Lynx, and they lost to the Fire.
Yes.
So, a good high there, beating the Mercury, but and the Lynx game is always going to be tough. And then the game against the Fire was very close for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So not, a horrible week for the tempo, but they are still dealing with a lot of injuries. So currently, Isabel Harrison, Julie Allemond, and Temi Fagbenle are all still injured.
Yeah.
Niara Sabali was injured for a while, did come back against the game against Portland, didn't look the best, so I feel like is still dealing with something, her neck.
Yeah.
Which that's not a great
No.
place to have an injury. So they just have some holes that they are working through.
Yeah, down multiple starters is always going to be difficult for a team, especially a new team.
Definitely.
Yeah, my biggest observation with Toronto, and you kind of pointed it out, that it was easier to see the identity that Portland clearly has worked to figure out. And Toronto, while I believe in this culture, in the, becoming the first Canadian team in the W, I think that's very exciting. I think the fans are very excited about them. There are moments where I'm just like, what do you do? Like, Toronto, how are you gonna, what are you gonna do?
Well, we know what they're going to do.
Yeah, they're gonna give the ball to Marina Mabrey, or they're gonna give the ball to Brittany Sykes.
Right. Which a lot of times works.
Yes.
In this game against the Mercury, when they won, Marina and Slim both had 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
So
which
that
is
was
apparently
a
the first
game.
time that in a team's first year that they've had two players score 30 plus in a game.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot of points for two players to be having.
Yeah, and we talked about how, or at least I've talked about how great Brittany Sykes has been at the start of the season. And Marina has already had some highlight games.
Yes.
But the games where they don't show up, where you don't get either of them, is almost a guaranteed loss for this team. It is so feast or famine with these two max contract players that I struggle to figure out the other things that the team is necessarily great at on a game-to-game basis. These are two all-star level players. Mm-hmm. These are two players that could just make the all-star game outright. If they continue to play like this with the volume that they're playing, they probably will. Mm-hmm. But when they don't play like all-stars, shocker of a statement to say, this team's kind of not great. And I don't like to say that. And the injuries are a huge thing. Obviously, Temi is a $1 million player.
Yeah.
That is hurt. Niara is the player that they want to have as their 4 or their 5, and she's dealing with her things. Izzy Harrison, we haven't seen what she can give to this team. And Julie Allemond was their starting point guard.
Right.
Until Kiki Rice rose to her position. The brightest light in Canada, I will say, in Toronto, in all of Canada, is Kiki Rice.
Yeah. I am obsessed with Kiki Rice. I think of the rookies that we've watched, I think Kiki Rice is like my fave right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's because we haven't watched a lot of Minnesota.
We haven't watched Olivia Miles very much.
I haven't watched a ton, but
for now, Kiki Rice is a huge highlight on this team.
Yes.
She just brings so much energy. She seems bigger than she is because she just defends very well on bigger players.
Yep.
She is shooting 57% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
So good right now.
From 3?
From 3, 50% from 3.
Okay. How about from the line?
75.
Okay. All right. So she's not going to hit 50, 40, 90, but she's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So far, she is just lights out shooting.
Yeah. And also running the offense, sharing the ball well.
Yes.
she's filled in perfectly as the point guard for Julie Allemande as she's been hurt. And this is what I believe I said this weeks ago, that like this was eventually going to be the role that she was going to be in, but immediately she's thrust into this position of being the primary point guard on the team and has not let down.
No.
Has not let down. Has lived up to the draft capital that they spent on her. And I had this idea in my mind that while, yes, you gave these max contracts to Slim and Marina, and they're going to be here for at least 2 years, you would think, on those contracts. I think Kiki Rice is the true cornerstone of this franchise. The true, like, this is my primary building block. Get everything around Kiki, and we could have something really special. I think she's that special of a player already. And hey, as I know I said that the team's not great at times, but they nailed that pick.
Yeah. No, they absolutely did. She doesn't have too many assists. She's averaging 2.3 assists, but her passing in general is beautiful. Like she is totally perfect as a point guard on this team.
Well, we talked about the frailness of the center position in Portland at times. And obviously we've already highlighted the injuries, but that seems to also be a point of issue for Toronto as well. In the first game that we watched this week, we saw them start Maria Conde at center. She's 6'1". The size of this lineup in this Mercury game was so small. Let's just go through those. Everybody's height here. Kiki Rice, 5'11". Marina Mabry, 6'1". Brittany Sykes, 5'9". Laura Yuskaita, 6'2". And then Maria Conde, 6'1". So nobody taller than 6'2". Their options without Niara and without Temi are nothing.
So small.
Basically nothing. And Yuskaita has been a player that has been somewhat successful so far in the early goings of this season, but she's not a center. She's a power forward set for this team. So kind of having to go to Conde, who I will say can shoot the ball. She's a stretch. It can be a stretch five, I think, in theory for this team. It just, they have so little options in terms of size that is helping them defend at times. And they go through these lapses of, on the defensive side of the ball where you can, be a little alarmed. And that's why it's so important that these players get back and get healthy to sort of anchor that a little bit better, because then you're letting up, runs to teams that you shouldn't be letting up runs to with how stacked you are with Marina and Slim.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really feel like we can't be totally fair to the Tempo because they have these three major players out.
Right.
So we will keep watching them. I don't want to doubt Sandy Brondello at all.
No.
I don't want to doubt any of the coaching staff. I really don't want to doubt Marina and Slim. Like, they are allowed to sometimes not have 30 points a game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think once these injured players come back and they have more of a full roster, things should be looking better for Toronto. I will say they very much tried to get Shakira Austin in this offseason.
Yeah. Would have been a great player for them to have.
Would have been incredible, but Washington stopped them from doing that. So they are making it work. I believe that they will make it work, and it's not like going to be that the Tempo is the worst team.
No. They're not going to be the worst team.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And
Marina and Slim, I'm obsessed with Brittany Sykes. She is like the best at scoring when no one else is scoring. Bringing the most
getting
energy.
you a bucket. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she's not going to score 30 every game, but like you can depend on her in times of trouble. And yeah, Marina sometimes is not going to have 30.
Okay. All right. Yeah, they need to hit on some of these unknown players.
Yeah.
The way that Portland has. Brief highlights. Tiani Key has seemed to give them some positive minutes and a little extra size at times. She was sort of rotating out as a center. She's just young and very raw, so that could potentially be a player that blossoms into something quality. You're unfortunately not getting really any quality from Lexi Held right at this point. They're just like, there's not a lot of depth as far as the bench is concerned, with, of course, these injuries in mind.
Yeah.
But I think that they're just going to keep trying. They're just going to see what Nicolina Milic can give them, or Maria Fasola can give them. And I don't know if we're going to see the same way. I don't know if we're going to see the same type of roster churn that Portland does, but I would sort of implore them to consider that at least as an option.
I mean, they're going to need to cut at least 2 players when these 3 come back.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So things are going to happen. You're going to see some movement by this team. But I do believe that they're trying to compete right away. There's no way that they sign these max contracts without trying to, go in. Mm-hmm. And they're only, 3-4 to start the season so far. So I think they'll be all right in the long haul. It's just figuring out what they do, like figuring out that identity. Because I still feel like I don't know it right now. Well, I think that's kind of going to do it for this week's episode of Attack the Baseline. Best of luck going forward for Portland and for Toronto, who I both believe are finding success in different ways to start the season. Excited to see what their story is come the end of this first year.
The fact that they have both already won 3 games.
Yes, is a huge accomplishment.
As expansion teams, as this double expansion. Huge.
I think the Valkyries were 2-5 or something to start the year. So
I have no idea.
They're ahead of schedule.
They both are definitely playing better than people thought they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're shimmying up the standings. Who knows what we could see come the end of the year with both of these teams. Kristen, next week, what do we have on the docket? What do we plan on checking out?
Well, we really want to check out Awa Fam and everything happening in Seattle. Hopefully, is Dominique back? Dominique has had a concussion.
Currently not yet back, but she should be back any minute now.
Okay. Well, praying that she's back in the very early days of this week so we can watch both of them and Flauge all together.
Yes. We'll
That's
check
what
out.
I want to see.
We'll check out them, and I believe we're also going to check out Connecticut a little bit. A little bottom of the table action here.
Why?
Well, because Connecticut got their first win.
I did say.
Friend of the pod, Joe, said, "Can we talk about Connecticut?"
Yes, I apologize to Joe. I said we would mention that Connecticut has won their first game.
Yes.
And that was, he said, when are you going to follow Connecticut? I said, when they do something cool. And they hadn't won at that point. And here they are, having won their first game against Seattle.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's why it makes sense.
I guess that's why. So props to them. I mean, people in Connecticut are just hurt still, too. Like, Brittany Griner is still out.
Yeah, but she's in and out every other day. It's okay.
I don't know how much we're following Connecticut. I'm not making that promise to you, listeners.
We'll see. We'll come back next week, and we'll either be following both Seattle and Connecticut or just Seattle.
Okay.
But that is the plan going forward. Wanted to thank everybody again. If you'd like to send us an email, of course, you can do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. Again, leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you listen to the show. That helps us grow. Subscribe to YouTube. And as always, tell your friends and family about the show. Bring us some new listeners, some fresh blood as we continue into the 2026 WNBA season. Kristen, thank you for being here with me today. I'm staring at the baseline, and as always, what are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend.